It's honestly super exciting to see so many faces here. Welcome to our tokenization meetup. My name is Pauline, and I'm Chief Strategy Officer of ChangeNOW and Chief Strategic Advisor to NOWNodes, which is actually hosting this meetup. We're going to have two panels today. One is going to be hosted by yours truly, and the second one is going to be hosted by our good friend Samuel from CCN. I've got an amazing panel today and an even more exciting topic. We're going to talk about scaling and, more importantly, successfully scaling tokenized systems because when there's more pressure, it's sometimes hard to build and retain trust. So I have an amazing set of speakers today. Super excited to have them on the panel. We've got Kwon Park from crypto.com. Abi Dharshan from Zerion, Vidor Gencel from Solflare, and Philip Zentner from LeFi. I would like you guys to give a round of applause to our panel. Thank you so much. And gentlemen, would you mind giving a little bit more of an extended intro about yourself? You can go in an order from me to you. Feel free.
So I'm Vidor from Solflare. I'm the co-founder. Solflare is a Solana wallet. We built the first Solana wallet back a few months after Solana mainnet. Back then, we made this bet that Solana will be the best trading venue to come. And instead of choosing a multi-chain strategy, we've doubled down, tripled down, quadrupled down over the years there. We've seen an evolution of cycles. We've seen an evolution of trends. And from NFTs to stable coins to meme coins, we've been here and we're going to continue being here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Ali.
Hey, Abi here. I lead product at Zerion, and I guess Zerion, we've also evolved over the years. We started off as a portfolio tracker back in DeFi summer times. A lot of y'all, I think, used us, along with back then it was like DBank, Zapper. It was kind of like a fun time to build in crypto. And then we launched our own EOA wallet a few years ago, and now I like to call ourselves like a wallet infrastructure company because we also have data product. We power a lot of the other wallets, like Uniswap, like Coinbase, and now a lot more fintechs.
Maybe.
Hopefully, yeah, for sure. And also working closely with teams like LeFi. And I guess this topic is interesting for us because we kind of accidentally became a B2B company in the last couple of years, and now we're dealing with a lot of scaling, bottlenecks, compliance. So I think excited to dive deeper into some of these.
Perfect.
Learn the space as well.
Hi, nice to meet you all. I'm Kwon Park. I'm the global head of digital asset partnerships at crypto.com. And I think a lot of folks know us with all the branding and sponsorships, but we have a wide variety of products from the exchange, the main app, the brokerage platform, the credit and debit card, as well as nowadays we're pretty involved in the prediction markets.
Yeah, I'm Philip. I'm the founder and CEO of LeFi. Crypto today is fragmented across dozens of chains, exchanges, different data service APIs, cross-chain bridges. And LeFi is the liquidity and execution layer on top of all of that. We have been executing over $80 billion in transaction volume. Make sure that applications only have to implement one API instead of 100.
Awesome. And to throw in a quick shell from my side, ChangeNOW is an instant crypto exchange platform, as well as a liquidity provider and infrastructure provider. And NOWNodes is our product that deals with infrastructure. We provide both cloud and bare metal server infrastructure to protocols, wallets, and exchanges alike. So good to be here. Now, let's move on to the topic of the hour, and that is tokenization. And I know that we're at Consensus. We're kind of like in an RWA era, which has experienced its renaissance with tokenized stocks, bonds, commodities, private equities, so on and so forth within the past year. And now it feels just that much more serious because we do have so many institutional providers trying to dip their toes in the water. But at the same time, we are in the Web3 sphere, which is a little bit more democratized than TradFi. And that brings in a certain sets of rules and a certain sets of challenges that I would like to discuss today. So, tokenization is no longer experimental, and we're discussing actual users and actual assets and actual funds. And when systems cannot agree on who owns what, whether it be um, a project or an end user, retail user, it is a business and trust problem rather than a technological issue. So, I would like to start this panel with a few general questions. So, if we'd like to offer your insight, feel free to raise your hand. If not, we can just go in order. And the first question is, what's the biggest misconception teams tend to have about consistency when building tokenized systems?
So I think consistency stems from TradFi, where you have your ledger, I have my ledger, and we have inconsistencies in our ledgers. Blockchain effectively solves this. It's source of truth driven by consensus that is code. The actions, which are transactions, lead to state transitions and are known across all participants of this decentralized system. And what it effectively means is that whoever just like builds on blockchains doesn't need to do some like intra-ledger settlement, just rely on chain and finality guarantees, and then have really good technology stack through like RPC providers, third-party APIs to effectively read and trust the blockchain data they're reading.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. And to add to that, I guess like 2 points. One, infrastructure today is a lot more advanced and a lot more scalable than it was even 4 years ago. Like think about, swap APIs, or think about, it's like us dealing with like self-hosting nodes back in the day.
Yep.
So I think like that just means we're able to maintain a similar level of consistency as you'd expect from TradFi. And the other part, at least we've been talking to a lot more institutions, and I think institutions today are a lot more informed about crypto. Back, I think in last cycle, we were seeing a lot more experimental Web3 arms kind of spinning up in like, MasterCard, some of the big fintechs, even like, entertainment brands, right? Like exploring crypto. A lot of them treated it as almost like a proof of concept. But I think today, kind of to consistency, teams are building out engineering orgs that are crypto native. So I think like both kind of hand in hand just makes it a lot more easier to scale. At least, kind of where we see the market going now.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Also, it's funny that you've mentioned experimental blockchain projects, which, big brands dipping their toes into Web3, because I keep getting reminded about the Suntory whiskey company trying to create NFTs on Avalanche last summer.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I thought at the time was kind of hilarious, and I still do, to be honest.
Well, Starbucks did something similar as well.
I lost a bunch. I mean, I bought the NFT for $100 and kind of went nowhere, right? But I think it's very different now. Yeah, to that point. Companies that are launching, kind of collectibles or loyalty products, or even, kind of beyond that, consortiums, I think they're all learning from each other a lot more, even within the infrastructure space. So yeah, I'll definitely see that.
I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I have to say, maybe Kwon could add something onto it. It is all fun and okay to say that, of course, the blockchain industry is already prepared for the blockchain part of things. But if we're talking about tokenizing real world assets, there is a whole layer of compliance, there's a whole layer of security. Because when you're talking about, like monkey pictures or an armchair in a Dubai high-rise apartment or something like that, it's kind of easy to hand wave it all away. But when we're talking about actual real life, for example, Apple stock or platinum or palladium or private equity, it is like it just kind of adds on a whole set of complications onto it. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add, as a CeFi player, we're not technically looking at the technology of tokenization itself, but as an infrastructure player, I think, having operate in the blockchain space and creating a trading infrastructure for years, I think we've had to set the right foundation. We're dealing with customer funds, we're dealing with customer data. Those things we truly cannot compromise. And I guess now it's to have infrastructure that's scalable. You're seeing a lot of institutions coming in, so trying to make sure that we create an environment that's safe, compliant, protects the consumers, but also doesn't have downtime and is reliable.
Yeah, I will argue that we are actually gonna have to implement all these layers. We have been seeing in TradFi and crypto too. So we see the establishment of privacy-preserving rails, policy layers. All of that is yet to come, not only for institutions, also for agents to be actually be able to work at scale. So in the future, we are foreseeing that lots of these things we expect consumers to do, agents will do. They need guardrails. They need hooks to be able to just adhere to certain constraints. And there's a long way to go until we get there, especially given we have so much fragmentation in this space and all the institutions are trying to onboard on so many different chains. Let's just talk about
exactly.
RWAs alone on Provenance, Plume, Avalanche, Solana, Canton, you name it. There's just so much going on. And we see more and more institutions also building their own chain with Stripe and Tempo, Circle, Arc, Robinhood chain. So we do not only have to build the solutions, we also have to scale them across this multi-chain environment and then tackle fragmentation from a data homogeneity perspective, homogeneity perspective. So it's a long way to go. And I would argue we are still just piloting all these TradFi comments coming. They are still just piloting, figuring things out. However, they take things more seriously now and they invest more money into doing so.
Yeah,
I would maybe just want to add here. I think it's sort of funny, but I think we as an industry are very hypocritical of what we believe in. How do you believe that your stable coins are backed by cash held by a private unaudited company? And at the same time, you ask the question, okay, if I tokenize an apartment in Dubai, does that apartment really exist? Like, what are the parameters based on which we decide to trust entities or not to trust entities?
Yes, exactly. And I think, first of all, thank you, Philip. That was a good point. And thank you, Vidor. That was also a good point because, first off, to go off of Philip's point of view, we are going to think about interoperability very soon because, again, when a new thing in the cryptosphere emerges, everybody kind of tends to prioritize building new chains rather than building reliable infrastructure to support those chains and building bridges. Kind of optimizing for fragmentation and all of the other sort of thing. And also to Vidor's point, I, for example, don't really have, maybe you gentlemen will give me that answer. How do we kind of couple the proof layer, the on-chain proof layer, or maybe with oracles or something like that? How do we actually prove that the apartment in Dubai hasn't been yet
drones observing?
Yeah,
well, that's
perhaps.
a $5 trillion question, right?
Yes, exactly. And my next question is like, at what point does a consistency issue become a board level incident in your project, for example?
I mean, for us, we're a Solana wallet, and the only consistency issue that can arise is, okay, it shows you have 5 SOL, but in reality you have 10 SOL, and you send some money and it didn't update. For us, I think we all are very fortunate that the meme coin era happened before the much broader TradFi adoption era, because what really battle tested us were the meme coins. The amount of engineering work that was invested back in the time for like data correctness, data redundancy, real-time prices, real-time data, transaction landing is insane. And if there weren't a cycle which brought such a big of an economic impact, it's questionable if people, projects, the industry would be able to value the okay, what's the value of the future incoming institutions and would this be worth building? We were really pressed in a time of urgency where everyone was clicking buttons and stuff was falling apart. And that made at least everyone in Solana super resilient.
Yeah, like a quote I heard from a head of institutional at Coinbase yesterday. He was like, meme coins stress tested crypto the same way cat videos stress tested like the early internet.
Porn.
In a way, yeah. I mean, and
Yep.
I guess adult entertainment, yeah, for sure. I guess for us, like, I mean, board level incident, like you said, like we're a wallet as well, but we also have other wallets that rely on our data as a source of truth. So imagine we, just don't return data anymore. Like we obviously have SLAs that we have to meet, right? So, knock on wood, never happened yet. But obviously for us, that's, I'd say like one. But beyond that, security was one thing you raised, which is quite crucial as well. I think we've just as an industry faced like a ton of attacks in the last few weeks. And I've personally got from a bunch of API providers we use, like, details that my key might have been leaked, my personal details might have been leaked due to like internal issues. So I think like as an industry, as we're going more professional and merging with fintech, it's either security or source of truth for us. That would be like a board level matter.
Mhm.
And anything else I think can be solvable internally. So yeah.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just add, as an infrastructure provider, anything that goes up to the board level, I think it's a cultural thing, and it goes back to kind of building that foundation to begin with, and not making any compromises when it comes to dealing with customer funds and the security and compliance aspect of things. I think another important thing with tokenizing real world assets is verifying the assets, and whatever we support on the platform, we'll try our best to do the due diligence there. So
For many of our customers, we are the solution to that problem, right? Because we provide so much fail safety. We also homogenize all the data, especially across multiple multi-chain asset standards and all of that. So it's not a board level matter. It's like a constant daily matter to ensure that we have consistency across everything.
And we love to see it. So now I'm going to, first of all, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your takes. And I would like to do a little bit like a blitz round of questions for each and every one of you. And I would like to start with Philip. As somebody like from a project who deals with a lot of multi-chain infrastructure, we've talked before, who do you think does, or much rather, who do you think should define truth when systems disagree?
That's a very good question. Systems rarely disagree. On chain, everything is atomic. So that's why we have smart contracts for, right?
Mhm.
So disagreements come into play the moment we have price differences across chains for the same asset, for example. This is where oracles come into play. This is also where arbitrageurs come into play to even out the prices. So the market is already structured in a way that these disputes on disagreements around pricing, which is like one of the most important one, I would argue, are being diminished. Yeah.
So you think it's like a matter of at the end of the day, it's a matter of democracy and like sort of the free market of it all.
Market is a bit of market and technology. I think where we have disputes and disagreements is, for example, who is liable if things go wrong. Let's talk about Aave, CalcDAO, and Layer 0. So this is a perfect example of things can go wrong massively. And then again, we said we can trust the code to handle things. However, Arbitrum has been freezing these funds. So all of that is a very philosophical, ideological question. Ultimately, we came together in this industry to let code decide on what is right or wrong. And like, sure, $300 million hack sounds like big money, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's just not. It's just like it's so tiny. It's so tiny compared to what TradFi is moving a day. It's just like, I don't know, DTCC clears 3 to 4 trillion a day or something.
It's a bug bounty for
Right.
for
Yeah,
like the longer term.
like exactly 300 million is relatively big, but also as relatively speaking, absolutely small, and no one cares. Literally, no one cares.
Pretty much. But I guess we can see how like the Kelp DAO hack is kind of a very good example of where the industry is at right now, which is not perfect because everybody started handling things on their own ends, and a lot of it has been inconsistent. So
Yeah.
I guess we still have quite a, especially the DeFi infrastructure has quite a lot to grow in terms of matching institutional expectations and kind of marrying them between technology.
I want to add to
Yeah.
this though.
Yes, of
Like,
course.
I think we have seen as many hacks in traditional finance back then. It was just hard to point fingers, and these things happened in so many different ways. Social engineering was a different game too. People were like spies in offices, literally. So we have seen as much scam, as much fraud and hacks back then. It's just a process. It's part of the natural process to harden the infrastructure, set up the right guardrails. For example, I think a good learning for OFTs here is rate limiting, right? We have a standard called XERC20, which established rate limiting on mint and burn rights from the get-go. No one adopted it. Now Layer 0 got hacked. So maybe rate limits are a good idea. So now we progress one step. And I think that's just an important thing to see. Everything will improve over time. Finance didn't start anywhere else. So
well, in terms of the internet, I guess we're still in like 2002 if we were to compare the internet to DeFi. So, yeah, I'm also hopeful, and I hope you're right. And my next question is to Kwon, as somebody who has to deal with the scale of crypto.com on a daily basis, which I admire a lot. And my question is, where do you see the biggest mismatch today? Is the technology still imperfect, or do you think the institutional demands for the technology are too harsh?
I'll say in the digital asset space in general, not just in tokenization, it moves very quickly. So, we're going to see errors, we're going to see, fixes, patches. I think in the TradFi space, they see a lot of, I guess, ways for improving the infrastructure and the systems from, going into 24-hour trading, settlement. There's capital efficiencies that come with tokenization. So I think it's a balance that we have to play, and we're just trying to do everything we can under the regulatory frameworks that we work in to create a safe environment when it comes to security certifications, audits, SOC 2 audits, NIST, business continuity management programs. Those are things that we are proactively trying to do as much as we can to support everything, and of course, having a scalable infrastructure. I think that's key. So.
Yeah, makes quite a lot of sense because, again, going back to the Kelp DAO hack, it was the infrastructure that let them down at the very end because they, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the lack of redundancy for their RPC providers because they have managed to infect one node and the protocol failed to redirect to another one, which in fact led to the leak, to the hack. But I might be wrong.
yeah, it's a combination of things. It's essentially there was only one-on-one DVN, which was the recommended default, or it was the default in documentation, right? One problem. But then on the other hand, so here Kelp might be to be blamed. At the same time, it was Layer 0's RPC that got compromised. So
Yes.
so it's it's just like pointing fingers in both directions. I think both parties
It was a whole mess.
fucked up a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, just a moment. Ali, now a question for you. And it also pertains to infrastructure. When different data sources update at different speeds, how do you decide what to surface to the user in real time?
Yeah, I mean, I might even flip the question. I feel like this is maybe more of a simplified question. It really depends, right? Like the answer is very much it depends. We also have seen this in different customers. Like some customers just prefer to have a slower response time, but a unified view for everything that the user sees at the same time, by default, right? Like, I'll just break it down for a wallet. In a wallet, what do you care about? You care about seeing your portfolio view, maybe like your total balance, maybe some more advanced data like P&L, and then you look at your charts. Obviously, some data points like P&L are more computationally complex than maybe like a balance or a portfolio or a transaction, right? So I think like we've just seen different platforms use different types of cache coherence in order to, I'm curious what you guys do. Like, I think everyone just shares different types of data at different rates. But I think what matters the most is like not showing inaccurate data. We've seen instances where there's like lazy polling. So like, unless the user like swipes to refresh their portfolio, you just wouldn't show the most accurate data. So I think something that matters is like making sure the most important data points are refreshed in real time. Pretty much. I think it's like very much it depends.
Actually, you know what? That was a good idea. I'm actually curious to hear your gentlemen's opinions because we've got a big exchange and an infra provider and a liquidity provider and a wallet. What data points do you usually prioritize to surface to the end user?
I think it's a bit different because for a centralizing exchange, they create
That's why
state.
I asked everybody. So, yeah, of course. Please go on.
They create state, and for wallets, sort of you observe state, right? And that's very, very like a key difference. For us, what we've learned over the years is that SLAs are not a thing. Whatever you get promised will just not happen. The only way to ensure correctness and uptime is to, in our cases, like we have 5 RPC providers that we load balance for failover. One's better for this, the other's better for this, and we cross-reference their responses. And especially maybe we also have like some more sort of more important flows and less important flows. For example, less important flows, okay, are we really going to be in trouble if the price is 1 cent off? Maybe in TradFi, yes, but in current Web3 space, no. But what if you sort of craft a transaction wrong and the user loses their money? That's sort of a non-negotiable because you use all of ours. So for those like high priority use cases, we cross-reference data correctness across RPC providers, which in the DAO hack that we mentioned, they didn't. I think what happened is like 2 RPC providers got hacked. It did a failover on the one that served incorrect data or something like that.
Yes.
And yeah.
Anything to add, gentlemen? No? Okay. Now, I would like to actually get to like the key point about infrastructure. But it was written on my agenda, but we've already, I think, talked about reliable infrastructure and what you guys currently prioritize in each of your projects. But another question that kind of, I think, segues very well from the previous one is how do you balance speed versus correctness? So again, I think the answers are going to be a little bit different from project to project, but still kind of curious to hear. Sure.
Yeah, I can speak here a little bit. LeFi has been literally drowning in demand from day one. Very luxury problem to have. But it essentially means that for each new deal we want to win, there's like a little feature that's missing, a little adaptation, a little abstraction. It's really tough to do BTB at scale. And what we had to learn over time is how to treat our roadmap. And the ultimate result, to get to the point, is we have multiple roadmaps in parallel. We have the feature roadmap, which is very customer oriented. We have an engineering roadmap, which is around developer experience, reliability, and all of that. And then we have a security roadmap as well. So, and all these 3 roadmaps on a bi-weekly sprint have to find their way into it. So this really is. We have some like rare occasions where it's like, okay, we need to win this deal, so all resources on that. But yeah, also these things just change over time. LeFi is 130 people now. So as we grew, we had more capacity to work on things in parallel. But that's ultimately how we figured it out. Okay, there has to be a slot for each. So there has to be a good way to set a price on each feature request. So how big is this topic? And then there is a certain amount of slots, and then a certain percentage has to be allocated to security. to DevOps reliability and features. That's how we solved it.
Yep. Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess from an infrastructure standpoint, it's a little bit different. Speed is important, but I think just really paying attention to what we're going to do, what we're going to support, is key. So not necessarily going as fast as we can, but making sure that we understand what's happening in the market and we're able to react. And since we are offering products to users, just make sure that it is something that we've done due diligence on and can support in a safe way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Vidor kind of hit the nail on the head earlier in talking about correctness. You mentioned drift, right? Like, I think what we realized is different companies and different products have different expectations.
Of course.
One example, right? Like, we partner with this company called WAP. They're a large fintech kind of payments company, and they just went live with this new product with Aave on Plasma, where if you are, creator earning money on WAP, under the hood, you're now earning yield. And for them, the fact that in crypto, even a small percentage point of drift is normalized was crazy. Like, they have someone with $1 million in their wallet and they're earning, yield in real time. And they get a shit ton of complaints on, hey, like this is $10 off or $20 off. For us in crypto, that drift is acceptable, but for fintech, that's not. So I think to that point in correctness, again, it really depends, but we obviously strive to be as accurate as possible. But I'd say like we're now getting to like discussions both kind of around enterprise as well as our internal roadmap in terms of like, where do we stand on certain things? Like, what is acceptable, what is not? And it all is driven entirely by, what does our customer need? And what can we do internally, realistically, to make that happen? So speed in that sense is kind of like a non-negotiable if it's something that's in our control. And correctness is always like something where, we have to go back and forth to understand, what is something that's acceptable. And I think we're continuously also questioning the status quo. So it's kind of moving quite fast, depending on the context. Yeah.
I mean, I think for us, we covered correctness with like all the different DeFi providers. But another concept that I find intriguing is essentially in bridging scenarios. So if you think about bridges, like how they looked at like 3 or 4 years ago, it took like 12 hours to bridge something. And then what happened is those bridges sort of strive to wait for finality, and then be 100% sure this is done on this side to mean something on the other side. But what happened with the evolution of bridges is that risk between like speed, correctness, sort of that risk got outsourced to market makers. People who professionally take on risk to take finality risk on this side, underwrite and provide liquidity on the other side. And that's essentially sort of removed the correctness liability that the user would be exposed to and made the speed fast for users by someone else taking the risk and a small cut of the fee. And I think like those solutions are something that we're going to see more and more in the space through Intense, what Philip is building, and yeah.
Basically, first of all, thank you so much for the answers. What I kind of think that, again, from a standpoint of an infrastructure provider and a liquidity provider, I think I might be wrong, so feel free to correct me, but I think the accuracy and speed are going to matter differently depending on the market cycle. Because when we are in a bull market, we want everything to execute quickly because the prices are changing very fast, and the liquidity flow is much faster rather than in a bear market. And while in the bear market, people are kind of keen to see bigger numbers or like smaller numbers. Again, people are more eager to see the fluctuation because they're paying more attention to that than the execution speed. But then again, this is just my opinion and something that we think about a lot over at ChangeNOW.
I mean, I don't agree.
Oh, really?
I can tell you why, because even if in the biggest bull market where execution speed is important, if you make that decision based on wrong data, then the execution is going to be wrong. So I don't think we should sort of engage in this complacency of the bull market or the bear market or change the way that we think or build these systems. We should be like consistent and upwards in doing this. And we should, I mean, there shouldn't be a trade-off between consistency and speed.
I would also say, for example, for us, nothing really changed in terms of stress levels. It is a bear market for 2 years, but because it's the bear market, everyone is rushing to bring new products to the market, capture market shares, enter new verticals. So we have as much stress to maintain our market share. And we have so many companies coming into this space with different kinds of demands and ideas. You have to spend time with them. So we are so stretched thin on resources. We have been doubling our team every year, and I'm on the path on doing it this year again. So aim to be 200 people by the end of the year. And it's just like it keeps on going like that because the space is growing pretty quickly from a demand perspective. The numbers are down, but that doesn't really matter because things take time.
Yeah, I can't really argue with that. So we've been going at this for almost half an hour, so I would like to offer some wrapping up questions and a little bit of wrapping up closing discussion. So what do you gentlemen think is the minimum viable infrastructure to avoid catastrophic inconsistency? And here we can also, I guess, turn to either like periods of market volatility or market phases or anything.
I'll say something.
Yeah.
Ethereum, minimum viable infrastructure as decentralized as Ethereum.
I mean, again, I'm taking it a little bit differently, but I don't think we classify things as, hey, we need minimum standards, but more all the things that we're doing with business continuity management programs and, the security certifications and all these things that we're doing, cold wallet insurance, customer protection accounts up to 250K. It's all cost of kind of doing business, and we kind of don't look at things as, let's aim for this minimum standard. We just have to keep it high quality all the time.
Yeah, of course.
I want to add to it. The question is like, sure, we can just keep it very minimal and you deploy your own rollup and that's it. Right? That get things done like in TradFi, like it's all centralized. So the question is, what is the bar?
That's right.
So
that's a really good point, actually.
What's the bar?
Yes. But I guess, again, it depends on the business side, because if we're talking to startups, they are going to look at the minimum. But if we're talking about like a big scalable product, they're going to be looking at the bar. Maybe the question could be, where is that bar? Like, when do you move from minimal infrastructure to just setting bars and setting them higher and higher and higher? Also food for thought.
Yep. I mean, I also like what you said about Ethereum. I mean, my answer here, we've talked a lot about infrastructure. I think we've covered, in a way, the answer to this question already. But the other part, the weakest link is always humans. So like working with people you trust, making sure the human point of failure is also not something you like forget. Because I think the sophistication in multiple angles is also increasing. So like, it's a non-answer to your question. It's just like, I think we always ignore humans, both internally. Like a lot of us, like Philip said, are resource constrained. But at the same time, that also means humans are the single biggest point of failure, no matter what. Be it infrastructure, be it operations, or be it security. So just making sure humans are well taken care of and you work with people you trust is another important point here. Yeah.
Maybe the real infrastructure are the friends we met along the way.
100%. Yeah. Good one. That's how B2B SaaS is. So it's pretty true. Yeah.
Yeah. Vidor, anything to add on to that?
I mean, I think a lot has been covered. Maybe just a quick comment is that in the world of AI and vibe coding, a question of what's an MVP is really hard to answer. And the fact that startups with MVPs are no longer going to be successful, where the luxury of being able to ship MVPs is only translated to people having distribution. So if I can write the least amount of code that can have an impact on a big user base we have, that's sort of logical. But if I were building a startup from scratch, MVPs, I don't think would cut it anymore. So it's going to be hard for new participants to sort of enter those markets.
And that's the question of the bar.
It's much higher.
Yes. So, my closing question is, what is the biggest, in your opinion, unresolved problem in consistency at this phase of, at this stage of the industry, or in the past?
Because inconsistency.
Inconsistency, yes.
I can take it. I mean, maybe just because I didn't really plan this out, but I mean, cross-chain finality still. Like, especially now that we are having more fragmentation, a shit ton of new chains, EVM, Solana, Bitcoin, Tron. Like, I think this cross-chain finality is probably still unsolved, both for infrastructure and users.
I agree with that, and I want to add marketing claims versus reality.
Right.
Biggest inconsistency gap. Sure. I think that's something we have to work on, especially if you want to win TradFi.
Yes.
We have to understand that service level agreements are not a joke. And we have to understand that that also the way we market security is not a joke. I think what we've seen recently the past 2 weeks, I think 2 weeks ago we had like the week with the largest amount of hacks ever, 630 million overall. I'm kind of grateful that AI is coming in. I think AI will speed up the hardening process. I think AI and Mythos will speed up us getting more secure, and because we can use it as much for the hacks as for just identifying security loopholes ourselves. So it will speed things up. It's good. It's good. And we need to make sure we get to a point where our infrastructure is deemed secure for good.
I partially agree. Like, I agree with almost everything you just said, except for the AI side of things, because again, the agentic kind of uprising, the agentic revolution, if you will, that's happened recently, that was the thing that actually caused a lot of funds leakage, because when people were building agents on OpenClaw, all it took was somebody on Twitter asking really nicely, and agents would send like hundreds of thousands of dollars to just random people on the internet because they were nice enough to ask, or they were evil enough to ask. I don't know.
Same as SQL injection in 97.
Exactly.
So that's a part of the hardening.
It's part of the hardening
stuff like that
process.
needs to happen.
I also from that week 2 weeks ago, there was the Kelp hack, that was half of it, but the other half was legacy projects, unmaintained legacy projects with outdated dependencies that got abused. Great. It's a great reminder we should not leave money in smart contracts that are not maintained anymore and things like that. So it's another reminder, it's another guardrail for us on how to deal with infrastructure. There's a point to be made that we need to educate the industry, and these things are just part of it. So
yeah, the education is actually a really good point, because I think for AI to be good at helping humans improve security, we need to kind of fundamentally shift our understanding of what using AI for security actually means.
You just can't be complacent anymore. I think that's the takeaway. Yeah.
Yeah. So, thank you so much for being with me on this panel. It was a really interesting discussion. Thank you so much for your takes. If you have any closing remarks, I would much appreciate it if you said them right now.
Well, I can say we're always hiring for engineers, good talents. Anyone's looking for a job, come find me. Sure.
Yes. Hell yeah. Anybody else?
yeah, same. Levi is growing fast. We are mostly known as a bridge aggregator, but that was 4 or 5 years ago. We are the largest same-chain swap provider by now. We are providing yield aggregation, perp aggregation. There's so much we're working on, and go check out our docs. There's a lot that can speed up your go-to-market.
Perfect. Kwon? Vidor?
I'm super bullish on the industry. I think self-custody will change the world.
Yeah, just add it. We're still early, so it's great to see, everybody keep building even in this bear market. Yeah.
And thank you so much for everybody who listened to this panel. I hope you had fun. Thank you so much to my wonderful co-panelists. Thank you so much for showing up, and thank you so much for offering your takes. And NOWNodes and ChangeNOW and Now Payments are also hiring. And we've got our beautiful members of our growth team, the one in the white shirt and the hat, and the guy standing next to him. If you would like to talk about swaps or blockchain infrastructure or crypto payments, they're the people you should be looking for. Please be nice to them.
Or get picked up in a Ferrari.
Yes. Or, yeah, they might give you a ride on the Ferrari if you'd like. but you have to be nice to them. So yeah, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you.